What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to go over how wild pigs got to the Americas. So, as I'm sure everybody knows, we have a huge feral hog problem here in the United States, and I was reading a couple articles about that, more specifically the article that we're going to go over at the end of the week. So yeah, please subscribe, check that out. But I had a thought, how exactly did they become such a big problem? And as it turns out, this problem goes all the way back to when the Spaniards first actually came to America. So yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting. I hope you guys find it interesting too. Before we get started on the video, please go ahead, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, and please drop a comment with any articles you guys would like for me to cover, anything you might think is cool, anything we can find out, and then maybe I'll cover it in a future video. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the video. So as I like to do with all these videos, I would like to say I do not own the rights to these articles. I did not write the article. I'm simply using it as a tool to pass along information. This particular article is owned by Mississippi State University's Extension, and you can go find this at their website at wildpiginfo.msstate.edu. So with that being said, guys, Wild Pig Info, a history of wild pigs. Wild pigs, also known as hogs, wild boar, or feral swine, are an old world species and are not native to the Americas. The first wild pigs in the United States originated solely from domestic stock brought to North America by early European explorers and settlers. Many years later, Eurasian wild boar were introduced into parts of the United States for hunting purposes. In areas where domestic pigs and Eurasian wild boar are found together in the wild, interbreeding occurs. Today, many hybrid populations exist throughout the wild pigs range. And the wild pigs have a range of, they get pretty much everywhere from California to Florida. They've pretty much got the whole U.S. How did pigs get here? Pigs were first introduced in the 1500s to what is now the southern U.S. by Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto. In the centuries following European exploration and colonization, the eastern U.S. free-range livestock management practices and escapes from enclosures resulted in the establishment of wild pig populations and promoted their spread. Introduction of Eurasian wild boar. In the early 1900s, Eurasian wild boar were introduced into portions of the United States. Additional introductions and escapees of Eurasian wild boar from privately owned game-proof fenced hunting preserves have continued through the present, the range of wild pigs today. Wild pigs have been reported in at least 45 states. So that's 45 out of 50, guys. Populations now exist as far north as Michigan, North Dakota, and Oregon. Range expansion over the last 20 years is mostly a result of illegal translocation of pigs by humans. So that's basically saying, do we think they're popping up in all these other places because people are just catching them and going and letting them go? Okay, Luna, you gotta settle down. You gotta settle down, little puppy, or I'm gonna not let you be in the video. Oh god, okay, alright, crap, she just wants attention. And there goes a map of their range, which is kind of crazy. These are the spots, I guess, that they're talking about. There she goes. Away goes the puppy. That one's distribution of feral pigs in the United States in 2014, courtesy of the Southern. Okay. Then we go into the human factor. The popularity of wild pigs as a game species has played a major role in the expansion of their range throughout the United States. The sudden presence of wild pigs in new areas is most often a result of escape of stocked animals from privately owned game-proof fenced hunting preserves, illegal translocation, the practice of capturing wild pigs, transporting them to new locations, and releasing them into the wild. This article here might be more of a longer history. This was supposed to August of 2019. I don't know when the other one was. I think the other one was the recent one in 2022, but I could be wrong there. But anyway, so this article belongs to feralhogs.extension.org, so let's check it out. I mean, can't hurt. Make the video a little bit longer. History of feral hogs in the United States. Feral hogs, also called wild hogs, belong to the species sus scrofa are not native to the United States. The presence of these animals in this country is solely attributed to man-made introductions, some of which were intentional while others were accidental. Basically, two types of sus scrofa, Eurasian wild boar and domestic swine, were introduced into the United States because these two types are conspecifics. Wherever both of them were found together in the wild, interbreeding occurred. As a result, there are now 3 general types of wild hogs present in the country. However, because this situation represents a very diverse hybrid complex, the distinguishing lines amongst these 3 general types are not always clear. Morphologically, genetically, analysis may be necessary to sort out the ancestry of any one specific population of unknown origin. Okay, so feral hogs, hybrids, Eurasian wild boar. Okay. Historically, the first man-made introduction of hogs into the United States was on the Hawaiian Islands. These animals were carried there by the early Polynesian immigrants who first colonized these islands. Hogs were abundant on all of the islands within this archipelago at the time of the first European contact in the 18th century. The first hogs to be brought to the continental North America were of European origin. The first importation of domestic swine into the North America came with the second voyage of Christopher Columbus in 1493. Among the livestock acquired in the Canary Islands to provisions this expedition were 8 selected domestic pigs that were taken on board at the island of Gomera. These animals and their offspring became the stock that populated the new formed settlements and outposts on the islands of Cuba, Hispaniola, and Jamaica. From these animals sprang the immense herds that sustained the Spanish explorers on their journeys to the mainland during the early 1500s. It was from these ambulatory stock of swine used by these initial expeditions that the first well-documented feral population of wild hogs originated in the continental United States. This actually might be the better article. The expedition of Hernando de Soto is attributed as the first documented source that introduced hogs into the continental United States from the initial stock of animals. De Soto's herd of swine increased to a reported total of 700 over a 3-year period. De Soto and his army traveled through what are now 14 states along the 3,100-mile journey. The hogs variously escaped into the wild and were either given to or stolen by the Indians encountered by the Spaniards. De Soto was followed by many other Spanish, English, and French explorers and colonists that brought hogs to the continental U.S. That's a long list of names. The escaped hogs from these various expeditions and settlements went wild and rapidly became established in a variety of areas. Among the domestic livestock being raised in the early settlements in the European colonies in the New World, hogs were among the most common. The free-ranging of domestic livestock, including hogs, was a commonly practiced husbandry method employed in these colonies. Often, these free-ranging domestic swine went wild. Combined with the escaped stock from the earlier expeditions, these animals established the early populations of wild hogs throughout the eastern and southwestern United States. In the 1890s, pure Eurasian wild boar were introduced into several areas of the United States to provide a new huntable big game species for wealthy sportsmen. All of these initial introductions were into fenced shooting preserves. Many were followed by secondary introductions into other locations. A number of these later released were made into unfenced areas. In other instances, the wild boar were able to break out of the and escape the fenced and enclosures where they were being maintained. In such areas where feral hogs were already established, interbreeding between the two forms readily occurred, further complicating the taxonomic composition of the wild hogs found in those areas. From 1900 until the late 1980s, feral hog populations in the United States were primarily found in the southern tier of states and in states on the West Coast between 1989 and the present. The number of states reporting the presence of feral hogs has more than doubled. Similar to the initial introduction of the species into this continent, this new range increase has also been man-made. Concurrent with this range expansion has been an increase in the estimate national population size of the species. The range expansion in the central part of the country was reportedly largely due to clandestine releases by feral hog hunting enthusiasts. In most states, the practice of releasing hogs is highly illegal. Other expansions have been the result of these animals escaping from fenced shooting preserves. The identified sport hunting source of this species increase are consistent with the fact that feral hogs have become the second most popular big game animal in North America, second only to white-tailed deer. In the numbers harvested every year because of continuing illegal releases of feral hogs into new areas, the number of states with these animals will probably increase. In fact, the potential existence to ultimately have introduced populations of feral hogs in all 50 states at some time in the future. So, yeah, that's pretty much their history. We basically brought them with us when we first arrived in America. But the fun part is that I didn't know, and it kind of makes a lot of sense. Like, technically Hawaii was the first place, and pigs are so like ingrained into like their society and their culture. I mean, think about it. Luau's, you're roasting a pig over a fire, and that's been that way since like the Polynesians originally found that island. So yeah, like it makes sense that they would have, like, you know, it wasn't just Europeans coming to America like after Columbus that started the initial wave. And like, yeah, like we basically just let them go on our way as we were exploring the states. It was just common practice. Oh, you got a few pigs here, you let them loose, or if some got loose, you didn't care because that just mean that you would have food to hunt on the way back. So like as they would explore out west, basically just drop pigs off and let them populate an area so that when they came back, they would have things to hunt. You know, they didn't know back then. That was just common practice. They didn't care. They, you know, honestly, like America just seemed too wild to actually mess up. Now we know that it's going crazy. And to be honest, like you can go check it on YouTube. There's literally videos of people hunting pigs with helicopters where they literally just gun down the pigs, and there's nothing you can like do really to stop the population because pigs reproduce extremely quickly. So yeah, stay tuned though. You guys are gonna want to hit the notification bell because next video is gonna be me talking about how feral pigs change shape essentially. And yeah, so if you guys want to know how a pig, when it escapes, well, pretty much his body will transform. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for me, hit the notification bell, and like I said before, if you guys want, please drop a comment down below with anything you would like for me to go over. If I think it's interesting, I'll definitely cover it eventually, and I can throw you a shout out in the video. So yeah, until next time though guys, I will see you in another video. Peace.